Hello, everybody. Welcome to the training, learning, and development community. Thanks for joining. All right. Hi, Bobby. Thanks for the comment there. Cool tools with a cool guy on a cool morning. Hello to you too. Let's see. I am going to check it out and see who we've got in. Tamara's here. Carlita, Chris Johnson. Nice to see you. Sherry Campbell, Jenna Laney. Again, Bobby, Richard Batts. Thanks for joining. So here's a new series that I am going to try to kind of push throughout. And I'm hoping that anybody that is interested is willing to kind of join in the fun and possibly do one of these. And what I'm thinking is this cool tool series is sort of an offshoot of how much fun we had a couple of weeks ago when we did the Learning Tool Summit. Was that a couple of weeks ago? It seems like just time is going by in a crazy way, but we had so much fun just doing that over 2 days and just exploring a variety of tools that people in the community use on a regular basis. Learned a ton of stuff. I personally did. And the entire time I was thinking about, okay, what are some of the tools that I use? And could some of those tools actually be useful to folks in the community? I'm like, well, you know, I not only did I want to do another e-learning tools summit this year, but I also thought, why not just do it when we can? So if any of you out there that are in the audience are interested in sharing some of the tools that you use on a regular basis, hit me up and let me know. And let's just do we could just do a quick broadcast and would love to see what you have going, the kind of tools that you use for what you do. And with that, I'm just going to start with some of the cool tools that I use on a regular basis. I don't know if any of you watched the Nick Floro recording, which I'll plug in that the link to the page that the resource of the recordings page at some point. But I'm trying to kind of summon my inner Nick Floro to do this. It was, I just came up with this idea really on Monday morning of actually doing this broadcast. So I haven't had time to do it in, just a huge presentation, but I'm going to just try to Floro this and just show you a bunch of the stuff that I use. All right. So let me share my screen. I hope you're ready for it. And I'm going to go fairly quickly, not doing really any demos or anything like that. Just kind of showing you some of the stuff that I use. And I am a nerd in a lot of ways. In fact, here, let me just go through and I can tell you, can you guys see my slides? Just want to make sure. Great. Thanks, Jenna. So who am I? For those of you that don't know, founder and organizer of the training, learning, and development community. I've been in this space for a pretty long time. Started out at the Learning Guild way back when, I think it was 2005, and was pretty much like just on the founding team, helped build the guild over that decade plus. It was really, really fun. Went into it. I have an English Lit degree, a liberal arts degree. I also had a formal IT background, so that kind of got me in the door of, I guess a kind of a tech company. Left there, I think in 2015. I currently work at O'Reilly Media. I'm not sure if any of you know who O'Reilly Media is, but if you go to O'Reilly.com, you can find out they are a learning company. It's more like on programming and technology and business, just amazing, amazing stuff. I feel really blessed to be there. But I work at O'Reilly Media. I live in Northern California in a town called Sebastopol. It's in Sonoma County, about an hour drive from north of San Francisco. It's gorgeous here. And yeah, I'm a husband, dad, musician, songwriter, foodie. As you can see, I think you might be, if you regulars probably know all those guitars that I have in the background. And yeah, that's my thing. Oops. Okay, so I felt like it would be good for me to kind of give you some context of my setup of just, the systems that the basic infrastructure of my platform. So I am on the Apple ecosystem. Hasn't always been that way. It was, I was pretty much a PC guy up until like 3 years ago. That's when I started working at O'Reilly and they handed me a MacBook and, I had to just deal. So I'm now in the Apple ecosystem. Prior to that, I was like PCs and mostly using Google stuff, but I've kind of just switched everything over. I am really kind of since I'm a PC person, I do like, I'm always on a budget, so a couple years ago, I actually bought this iMac that we're on right now. It's a late 2015 iMac with an i5 processor. So it's not like new. I think I got it for like $300, and I just plugged in an external hard drive to it, and it just works beautifully. When I got it, it was terrible. The internal hard drive was awful. So, unless you're willing to take this kind of a computer apart and put it back together with upgraded items, you should probably, like, you can actually plug in external things to make it work better. So I have that dual monitor. I also have an iPad Air. I use an iPhone 11. And yeah, I do have a PC. I have a gaming one nearby that has an HTC Vive, a VR system connected to it. Play that every once in a while. Mostly my son gets on there and does Minecrafty types of things. Not too much, but every once in a while. And then also most of my online stuff, I do live in the Google ecosystem. So that kind of gives you an idea of who I am as a platform wise. And so a lot of this, many of the tools that I use are Apple focused, but you can still find equivalents like in the PC world. A lot of this is going to be about process too. So being the organizer of TLDC, and I'm the one, I'm the only person, right? there are no TLDC employees. Gratefully, I have lots of folks that volunteer, lots of guests, all that, but mostly it's just me, and I do just a ton of writing. And for my writing, I use something called Drafts, and it is Mac only, but it is an incredible just kind of text writing place that I can do stuff. Like, basically, anytime I have an idea, anytime I need to get something out, I just drop it into Drafts, and it's easy for me to go back and find. As you can see here, like, you can see that it's got a way of organizing yourself. You can put tags. I thought it was funny because I was looking at it last night and I had Karen North here, which I'm kind of impressed that she has her own filter, but I guess that's the case. And then more of my recent stuff, you can go in here. And then of course, this is where the text is, and you can sort of see like my May 9th newsletter. I kind of break it down this way. Now you can create to-do lists. You can do all kinds of different things. You can synchronize this with devices. You can write blog posts in it and it'll synchronize with WordPress. There's a ton of stuff that Drafts does that I don't even use. Mostly it's my place to just get ideas out and to just get writing, because a lot of what happens with TLDC is I just have to, it's just a process of building continually. And then part of that is also using a text editor, because I do code and I do just build, right? Even though I use a no code platform for the website, I still do have to do some JavaScript and HTML coding with some of the things that I build for TLDC, a lot for the stuff that I do for O'Reilly, and I use something called Sublime Text. But I can't recommend more highly finding a good sort of text editor, something, or something that, like Sublime Text, and which is free, that you can download onto your computer. And this one, Sublime Text, you can it works on PC too, just to have an interface that you could write every once in a while without having to open up a Word doc or something else. It's nice to have this there. It also will strip formatting. Like if you have something in a Word doc and you're trying to paste it online or somewhere, and it's always bringing in like the word sort of what is that called? All the extra tags that are, enclosed in that stuff. You can drop it in Sublime Text. It'll strip all of that, recopy it, and paste it. It's so helpful, and I can't recommend Sublime Text more. I just love this thing. Oh yeah, there you go. Avi's saying Notepad++. I used to use Notepad++ when I was on PC. Sublime Text is kind of the last two places I worked. That was like the text editor of choice, and so it's currently my text editor of choice now. And so here's sort of one of my newer cool tools that I think that you should check out. Every once in a while, if I need to come up with an idea or I'm trying to sort of like branch out and expand on a thought, I use an AI tool. And you can find this one at writer.me, RYTR.me. And it's interesting. You can like take an idea or a snippet of text that you've written and you can pop it in there. And this thing, I'm not exactly sure what it does. I feel like what it has done, it scrapes a bunch of stuff from the web, and it sort of applies it to what your ideas are, maybe combines it with it and gives you something bigger. Now, at first I felt like I was cheating when I was doing this, because you could like put an idea in and get like almost an entire blog post just by putting something in. And of course it wasn't wonderful. It was very machine sounding, but for inspiration and for just giving you a little kind of kick in the butt whenever you need it for writing, which I'm not sure about you, I need that a lot nowadays. This is really, really helpful. Also, I've been a songwriter for years and years and years, and this actually helps me kind of expand on ideas. I do sometimes feel guilty about it, like I'm not being 100% like creative like I should be, and turning to this to help me make stuff. But I actually think it's useful. So check it out, writer.me. Yes, Lainey, it's an interesting little app to go out there and use. Okay, so let's go to images and stuff. For TLDC, I have to make, it feels like I spend most of my time trying to come up with design, like images and banners and things like that for events. I use Canva. I use it 80% of the time. Of everything that I do, Canva is my go-to. Any other Canva uses out there? Now, I know that Canva kind of can have a bad rap, or rep. I can't remember how that, is it rap or rep? Because the designs that it outputs can feel a little stale or very, I don't know, just kind of typical. But when it comes down to it, if you're just wanting to get something out and wanting to express to people, an idea about like say what your event is and all of that, it just works. And I use it all the time for TLDC stuff. I do have like a paid subscription, the pro subscription, as you can see somewhere around here. Yeah. And I think it's been worth it. It took me a long time to actually subscribe and pay, because I wasn't quite sure, but then I finally did it and I'm glad that I did. I do want to talk about pre-Canva, what I was using. I was using something called Stencil, and you could find this one at getstencil.com. It's actually a plugin that you can plug into a Chrome browser, and similar to Canva, helps you kind of build out sort of image banners and put together designs. Now, I'm not a designer. I have no like design experience whatsoever. And so this is one of the first things that I made with Stencil. I went all the way back to, prior to, you can actually see in this image, there is the 2008 TLDC conference. So this is an old image, and we have Will Tallheimer in here, who was a guest on TLDC way long ago. So you can see, not great, like not as good as Canva. Canva you'd be able to plug in pieces and it'd look way nicer, but Stencil is cool. And I actually don't know how much it costs or if it costs anything anymore, but every once in a while I'll go back to it and use it. If anything, I grab like stock photos and different things like that from it. And then there is another one that I use called Relay That. And let's see, yeah, you can go to app.relaythat.com. Relay That is another web-based tool that you can dump or create a design in it. And what it'll do is it'll push out that design in a bunch of different formats. So for instance, like for an event, if I you know, this like this one, which I actually never used for Ideal 21. If I'm creating an event and I'm going to need a banner for AirMeet, I'm going to need a banner for my email newsletter, I'm going to need images for the website, just all these different things for social media, all that. I can make a design, put it in Relay that, and it'll push out a variety of sizes and formats that I can choose from, and just I take all of those, put them on my in one of my folders, and then I just throw them wherever I need them. And it's really, really helpful that way versus me having to make, you know, half a dozen different designs in Canva, you know, moving stuff around. Relay that can really help me save time. And so, speaking of images and all of that, I did post a link to this in the Slack channel at tldchat.us. If I think that this special is still available for deposit photos. Now, I know that a lot of folks go out there and use like the free services online for getting stock photos. You'll find a lot of that stuff here in deposit photos, but I pay for this service simply because there are a lot of things on deposit photos that aren't out there for free that you'd only find in paid services. But this one, every once in a while, you can get a really, really good deal on it. And I bought like access to 100 downloads for this. I think I first bought it in 2017 for like $39.99. And I I haven't even used them all up yet. I think I have 5 left. And it's just been really, really helpful. If I just want to save time and find a stock photo that will work for me right now, usually Deposit Photos is going to have it. I used to go to Unsplash, but like iStock Photos, I think, bought Unsplash, and now it's not so great. I don't know. There are places like Pixabay, different, you know, other resources for this, but I just save time when I use Deposit Photos. Go to tldchat.us and maybe you can find the link there to the special that they're running right now. They do it like maybe once a year where they'll sell a subscription for really cheap. Okay, so moving on to transcription. I do try to transcribe all these TLDC broadcasts and episodes, and I use a couple things. This first one is a very cool tool. It's called spoke.app, and I really would like to use this more. What it is I can dump a like a TLD cast, one of these videos, into spoke.app, and it's going to transcribe the entire thing. Once it transcribes it, I can highlight, like, say, the part of the conversation that I want to that I want to create a snippet of. And so as you can see here, this one was with Lisa and Stephanie and Parker A. Grant. They were talking about freelancing. I've highlighted this whole area of their conversation. And once that's highlighted, you can actually export it, and it'll export with the video and the transcription as a caption and turn it into its own single file, which is really awesome for like sharing to people. And it's one of the reasons, and it's why I'd like to use this more, because every single broadcast that we have on TLDC, there's always valuable stuff that I should be sharing to everyone. I just don't have the time. But spoke.app, I can dump it in. I'm like, okay, here's the part where they were talking about, you know, measurement or something, and just grab that part, export it, and I could share it on social media, wherever, LinkedIn, and it works really, really well. So spoke.app. I got this one at a pretty cheap price. I'm not sure how much it is nowadays, but it's a good one. And then, of course, my go-to is Otter.ai. I was really like an early adapter on Otter.ai, but now I'm just, you know, a regular dude. Bought a subscription to it. They just did some like major change to how Otter looks. I'm not sure if any of you other Otter users noticed that, but I really have to get into like what is going on with Otter nowadays. Here, just as a screenshot, just a sample of what Otter looks like, and it works well. I have to go through, and I do have to edit the transcription best I can afterwards. Is never like 100% good. Never capitalizes training, learning, and development community. So that's that's always the first thing that I do. But I love it, and gosh, I have like so many transcriptions in my Otter account. It's crazy. But I totally recommend Otter.ai. It just works really well. I know the newer things that they've done with it, it's integrated into meetings so that you can pretty much transcribe every meeting that you, that you're in. I'm not sure if it like plugs into Zoom or what, but it's a great tool. Yeah, there you go. Richard loves Otter. And Mark uses Descript. Yes, I have used Descript in the past, but it didn't. That isn't in my workflow now. But I'd love to look back at it because I know that Descript has some really, really powerful capabilities. Okay, so now we're going to talk about messaging and email. I don't know how much this is going to apply to a lot of folks that are in the L&D space, but for me, I have been actually doing email stuff since like 2005. I think that's one of the things for me that has been consistent throughout my career in this space is that for some reason I've always been in charge of the email and the newsletters, and in fact that's a big part of what I do at O'Reilly. Is I literally send like millions of emails out every week, and I know email really, really well. If any of you have any questions about email systems or even producing newsletters, things like that, hit me up. I'm happy to share whatever I can. I've just been doing it for so long. I don't know of anybody else, in fact, that has been working in the, as a specialist with email as long as I have. And it hasn't even been my main thing. It's just always been something that has consistently been a part of my world. And the one thing that where I am right now, after using pretty much everything that's out there, all the big popular players like MailChimp, and daily I use Salesforce Marketing Cloud and Adobe's Marketo, but I've been Constant Contact, everything. I've MailerLite. I've been all over the place on the mail side. Right now, where I've settled is this company, Akumba Mail, which is based out of Spain. If you have a newsletter or if you send out a lot of emails on a regular basis, this is a great tool, and it can be had for very, very cheap. So I highly recommend it. And this is coming from somebody that has literally worked with almost everything that's out there. So this is just a screenshot of what it looks like. I sort of wanted to show you just how interesting this community is, in that I have like a 44.3% open rate on the last email, and you can kind of see to the right just how well the emails are opened. I just this is a great community that actually pays attention, is fairly engaged to what gets sent, and I try to be respectful about going into your inbox, and Akumba Mail helps that. It just helps with it just does everything that I needed to do, and it does it well. Now, here is my this is the cool tool that is basically worth this entire broadcast. I think that is sort of a secret that I feel like nobody knows, because I use this tool all the time, and I'm like, I wish I had this forever, but I found it a few years ago. It's called Yet Another Mail Merge. All it does is, for somebody like me that puts together these events and has to send emails to, people that register, speakers, just small subgroups, sending out an individual email to everybody every time is just such a pain. So if you're somebody that has a team or you have a group of learners that you'd like to send them a message via Gmail, but there's like 100 of them, and you can't possibly just, include everybody from your address book into a Gmail mail out. You can actually get something like this, which is called YAM, and it plugs into your Gmail. And basically what happens is you write a draft, you compose a draft in Gmail, and then you create a Google Sheet with the list you want to send it to, and then it will actually send to that whole group through Gmail. You could do up to 1,500 1,500 people at a time. And I think I pay something like $20 a year for this, but for what I do, this is an invaluable tool. It's like one of the coolest ones I have. If I had a smaller group of people that I was serving in this community and and wanted to send a newsletter out on a regular basis to them, I would use something like this and just write it all in Gmail, because then I have all of that in my inbox when I need to search and do all of that. So this is a really, really useful tool for anybody that does messaging like what I have to do, and even just smaller. So keep that in mind. Yam, it's an interesting one. If you have questions about it, let me know and I will totally help you out with it. I only have a couple cool tools left. Look, I'm right on time too. This is great. So I have this friend, Alfred, that I've plugged into my Mac, all my Macs actually, and it's like this plugin that does all these different things. Now I have to tell you, the main thing that I use is snippets, which is text expansion. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but snippets are basically like, for instance, if I have a template that, an email template, or say a document that needs updating and there are multiple copies of it, what I can do is I can create a snippet of it, which is basically take all the copy, put it here into Alfred as a snippet, and then assign it kind of some hotkeys or a word. A lot of times I'll just do something like, Zcast. Every time I type in Zcast, it's going to like expand. And in that case, it does, when I type in Zcast, it expands and posts my entire podcast intro and outro and all of that, so that I can just plug in what I am going to say whenever I do release an episode. I'm probably not explaining that great, but text expanders are really, really cool. Just for if you do a lot of repetitive copying and pasting, you can actually put that stuff here in a tool like Alfred and use the text expander features. But this thing has all kinds of other things that it does too, and I'm finding really, really interesting stuff on a regular basis. Like I know, it doesn't show it here, but down below there's like a Spotify plugin where it gives me recommendations about stuff that are actually better than Spotify. So I really love it. Mac only. If you're on a Mac, check it out. It's actually a very, very popular plugin for Macs, and it's one of the reasons why I found it. Let me see, what else do I have here? Oh, where I get all of this stuff at, and this is a little dangerous, but I get this stuff at a place called Appsumo. And if you go to Appsumo, you will find most of these items. You won't find Alfred and Canva. I think that they've run specials on Canva in the past, but a lot of TLDC runs on products that I found here. Now, I can tell you right now, we do all of our virtual conferences on a platform called AirMeet. I bought access to AirMeet, lifetime access to AirMeet, with 1,000 people per month on the event for a flat rate. I'm not going to say the flat rate because it is just crazy cheap, but I have that lifetime now. And it's one of the reasons why I can host those events. If I had to pay for that on a regular basis, it'd really affect the bottom line, because AirMeet can be expensive. But since I got on it really early on, I have access to that, and it's been so helpful with TLDC having that AirMeet to go to. And I do occasionally have to buy supplemental things to AirMeet, like for instance, for AIDC in June, I'm buying like captions to add to AirMeet, and they do have things like that where you can purchase for extra these different things. So Appsumo introduced me to that. Bought the product. It's great. Akumba Mail, same thing. I think there's still a special running for Akumba. The one thing I can say with Appsumo is you have to be a little careful, because I have probably bought dozens and dozens of products, but there's a bunch that I haven't used. And like I said, like that deposit photos one is was available on there, or hopefully it still is. And so check it out there. That is like Cool Tool Central for me. And that's it. It's 8:30. I did it. Now that's a bunch of stuff. I'm hoping that, let me hear. I'm going to stop my share real quick. I'm hoping that, that this was helpful and that you have found stuff that you might be able to take into your own workflows. There are more things that I use. I use a lot of no-code tools, for building the TLDC website. I use Webflow. I use Zapier. There are all kinds of other things that I use, but when I first came up with this, I just sat down and wrote like some of the coolest stuff that I use, and that's what I went with. And what I'm hoping is that if you have some cool tools and you want to share them with the community, let's do a broadcast. I can, we'll just set aside 30 minutes, 20 minutes and show off some of the stuff that you got. I would love to get more cool tools that instructional designers use, learning experience designers, stuff that is probably more specific to L&D. For me, since I'm mostly supporting a community and building events, these are some of the things that I use. Hopefully it's been helpful for you. Let's see. And any questions? I'm not seeing anything on here. Yeah, this is great. Recordings. I don't know. Let me see, just to be sure that you guys have this. I'm going to post a link to the recording of the eLearning Tool Summit. Getting a lot of traffic on LinkedIn. I guess people are watching it. I'm terrible about paying attention to stuff that's on social media, like LinkedIn included, but I really feel like people are checking out these recordings. I haven't looked since I posted them. Caught a cold over the weekend, but if you want to get, if you want to see more cool tools, check out that the links to those recordings. There's some amazing, amazing things on there. And then also I want to mention this Friday, we are having an Open Table Friday. And that means that in AirMeet, we have a few tables, like virtual tables that you can jump into and chat with folks about different topics. And like, for instance, we have Stephanie Diggins coming back talking about freelancing. Let's see, Liz and Leanne are actually going to have a table this week to talk about a tool that was in the tool summit called Bubble Up. It's a really interesting tool. Cindy's going to be there. Cindy, I'm not sure your topic, but I'm sure you can share it. Tamara, who I think was signed up and registered, might be in the audience, is going to be talking about creative processes. It's free and I don't know. It's really, really fun just coming in and just chatting. It's only an hour. I think it starts at 9 a.m. Eastern and goes for an hour whenever people are done. And so go. Actually, let me just post the link to that so that you have it, because that one is going to be fun this week. I'm going to be promoting it a lot more. Last week was the first time that we did it, and I had fun. We had a bunch of people sign up, but we didn't have a ton of people actually show up. So here's the link if you want to do that. Okay, and Cindy is going to be talking about LMSs. That's always a fun one. All right. And that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. 8:34 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Don't forget to hit me up at the TLDC.com. If you have any cool tools that you'd like to share and just want to do a broadcast, please, send me a message. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.